Okay, now all that stuff's done. I'm moving on to the engine, but the first thing I want to do is put all this stuff here into that. That's the water pump. When I get to it I'll show you, but that's that weird looking clip there. I'll just get it out. Oh, that's our water pump kit. I actually don't even know what that is. It must be a tool for something. But I thought that was this. But this goes, that's that little ring there. Right, that goes in there, and there's a ring down in there. Let's give a torch. Right, see that ring down in there? Somehow you got to get that in there, and that locks this in place. Well, I can't really remember how this goes back together, so I'll just have to figure it out. I'll probably look at the parts book thing I've got. I found all the old water pump stuff. This thing here's got a bearing in it that's no good. It's slightly different. Doesn't have that section there so you can put that on. Looks like you just got to press that on. It should be, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't know what that's for. Looks like a little tool, so it must be for something. I'll figure it out. These bits here, they're a bit different, but anyway, no point just looking at it. I'll see if we can get it together. This is going to be a bit of a video on how to fit this rebuild kit in one of these water pumps. Now, because it's different, and that's a press fit, you definitely don't want that to be on too far. So that's what I think that little tool's for. You put that there, and that holds that up that far, and you just press that on, and then you got to get that thing out. That's what I think it's for. I'll leave a little bit of it hanging out so I can get a screwdriver in there. That just leaves it a nice gap. So that's what I think that's for. I can't see any other reason to have it. I've given that a light sand in there, just a little bit of whatever that is. I think it's 180. Just put your finger in there, give it a sand, and I'll put a slight smidge of grease in there. This thing didn't want to go in there, and I didn't want to press it in, so now it should just push in. I'll just push that down. Like once I get it in, I can get it out, but I only want to do this once. So we'll just see. Got that in now, it spins nice and free. I just used a long socket. Don't hit it down with that, that'll stuff it up. You hit it down like that. So I've got that in. Now the trick is to get this piece of wire down in there, all the way around and back out there. Pretty stupid system if you ask me, but we'll see if it's possible. I'm definitely going to need two hands. Okay, I did get that wire through. It took a little bit, but I got it through. It was actually easier than I thought. But yeah, you just got to get it on the right angle, and I put grease in there, it definitely helped. So what I'm going to do is fold that over there, clip there. Normally it's just folded there and there, but I'm going to clip that over there, and I'll probably just cut it off down there and fold it into there. That'll be fine. That's how it was. Just decided to finish it like that. Looks fine. Just in case, I don't know, if you ever want to get it out or something, it's easy, probably a bit more meat to pull on it or something. But I won't be ever pulling that apart, I can tell you that now. One thing I've noticed is this thing here, it's just not a very good fit. It just sits, it'll fall off if I tip it upside down. I'm not real happy with that. That should press in. You know, this seal goes on this side. That's just a push in thing. I'll push that in, but that's what I reckon that's for. Just so you don't press that on too far. I measured both of these. That actually doesn't go the way I had it. It goes in this way. That goes in with the spring facing out. Then it presses in. That's a press fit. Put it in like that. That's not how it goes. It goes like that. All right, it helps seal that a bit. That's a sealed bearing anyway, but it just helps keep a bit of the water out. I might put something there, but probably not. But yeah, that goes in there. I'll press that in, and then I'll just press that on. It's done, and then you pop that out. Like I said, that's what that's for. That's just so you don't press it on too far, because you'll never get it back off. Just remember that the spring faces out towards the impeller. I've just driven that down with a 24mm socket, a long one, and then I've finished it off with a fine punch. Just carefully tap that down. That's a waterproof seal, that. You can't get water into your bearing. Anyway, all I've got to do now is put that on. Goes on the other side. Okay, that's it. Now just pull this clip out. I'll just pull that out and the thing's done. Clip out, that there, spins nice. That's right, if you press that on and without that there, you may as well chuck that away, because good luck getting that off. You probably could get it off. You'd have to pull that wire out and push it back out that way. Push it right back out and then get that off, but don't make that mistake. Use that little tool. Anyway, that's how you refurbish a water pump for a Honda S600 with the Ortman's kit. Okay, I'm back working on this engine. What I've done, don't ask me why, probably because I've got some white paint. I've painted one of these things here white, and I'll just carefully pull this off. You've got to be real careful with this, because it's got all these needle rollers and I don't want them to fall off. Take a bit to get set. Right, they're in there. They can just fall out if you're not careful. Let's see, I've painted that tooth there white. That's got a little punch mark on it, so that's your top dead center. When you set the timing, that's got to be up here at, well, it's at 6 o'clock. This is upside down. It'll look like 12 o'clock here, but yeah, if it's straight down, 6 o'clock. So what I'm going to do is put this chain on now, and I'm going to line that link up with that and just have it sitting there, because then I'm going to start assembling some of this stuff here, and then I'll flip the motor over and just keep putting it together. But it would have been nice if they bothered to, there's supposed to be a yellow link and 2 red links, and the yellow link goes here and the 2 red links go up onto the timing marks on the camshafts. Then a monkey could set the timing. Pretty much, it's not really that difficult, but it just would have been nice. Just to, would have made it easier. You're going to have to pull this wheel back off, because the chain sits either side of that. So I'll just take that out, put the chain on, get that back in. And like, if you don't put the chain on now, you're not going to get it on unless you have a link, and I don't want to do that, because I don't have a link. Well, having that white link there, I know it's on that top dead center marking, so it's just going to help me keep an eye on things later on when I'm putting it together. It's the only reason why I've really done that. I wish I could have figured out where to put the 2 red marks, because it would have just made it a lot easier, but it won't matter. I can still set it up, but I would have liked it if they had done that. It wouldn't have took them much to figure that out. Next bit that goes on is the starter chain, because after that you've got to put this cover on, and then that. So you can't put that on before the cover. So I'll just get that starter chain on, and then I'll put the cover on, and yeah, then I'll get that bit on. And that, I just tested that, it does work. I was a bit dubious whether that would work, because it only spins one way and the other way it grabs. Book comes in handy. It tells you the length of the bolts and how many you need. So I've got 3 by 20 and I've got 1 by 35, so that's fine. These ones here, I bought them, I've just got to shorten them. I couldn't get them 26mm, so I got them 30. I think I could have got 25, I can't remember, but whatever. I've got to shorten these by 4mm. So I've got to shorten 7 bolts by 4mm. I'll just do that first. Now there's the bolts for that part. I'll put them over here, but it looks like you've got to put this section on next. So that will be going on next. This cover thing that goes here, I'll put that on, then I can put that front cover on, then I can put that pulley on. Also these, you always face the back of the link, not the open section, towards the way it rotates. It really doesn't matter, but that's just what you're supposed to do. There's no gasket for that, so I'm just making a seal out of this stuff. That's good stuff for motorbikes, so it'll do for this. There's also a O-ring goes there. There's that part on, what do they call that? Undercase, that's the undercase. That there, once that's dry, I'll just peel that off. You don't need that bit on the outside. I'm not going to bother now, it'll make too much mess. Now, I've got this stuff here, which is nothing wrong with that, but I always use that stuff when I split a case or something on a bike, so to me it's the same thing. That chain's that's a new chain, obviously, and the other one was just a little bit more stretched than that. So now I can put this cover on, which I'll use a gasket and a bit of that stuff. So that cover's about to go on, there it is there. I'll bung that on. First I've got to put this check valve in here, a spring and the O-ring. I'll get them out next. We bought them new because when we pull this apart, there was only a bit of the check valve there. I'm a bit annoyed with this check valve that they've sent us. It's way too long. That's what was in there when I pulled it out. It's obviously been cut off, and the spring's not even a proper spring. That's the old thing, but this spring's too long really, and that is way too long. Like, that should not stick out any more than that. Right? There's none of this business. There's nowhere for that to go. That goes in there. Like I don't even think that fits in there actually. I don't know what this is off, but it sure as hell isn't off this motor. Pretty annoying. What have I got to do now? Make a check valve. I'll just have to think about this for a bit, because everything sort of comes to a halt because of that, unless I can figure something out. At the moment I'm not even really sure which way it goes in. I think it's supposed to go in that way, but for it to go in, there's nowhere for it to go. There's only got just that little space there. I'm going to have to go up and see what I can find out, but that is definitely not for this engine. I know that. It might be off an S600, I don't know what it's off, but it's not off this engine. The way they had that goes in there, right? It sits in there, and then they had the spring, which is cut off. It really can't do much anyway, but it obviously does something. I'll just take this out. See, it's got that section there, fits into that other recess bit in there. So what I'm thinking I can do is reduce the width of that section there so it fits right into that tube part, and then cut it off somewhere where the top of my fingernail is. Shove that in like that, and it'll still have a bit of grip for the spring. It'll be better than what they had. Like, I don't really think it does much anyway. It obviously does something, but that is not off this engine. I can tell you that. There's no way in hell that fits this engine. I don't know what it's off, but it's not off this model, this year or whatever, this production series. Now, Honda did change things a lot, but they can't have changed that much. Because this panel here, as far as I can see, is the same on all 600s. And there's just nowhere for that to go. Anyway, I'm not going to do anything today. I'm going to just knock off and go and have a bit of a read, see what I can find. But they had that in there that's pretty bodgy, like it's been cut off rough with a hacksaw. And the spring's just been cut off too. I can either put back in what they've got, or I can make something better than that. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do, is make something better than what they had. And yeah, it'll be like that, but it'll just, for some reason, this bit here is too long, and that doesn't fit into that tube part. I believe that should go in a lot further, and then I'll only have to take about 10 mil off that. Depends how deep that, I'll just measure that tube, how deep it is. It does go in a fair way. To that first lip's 12 mil, and then to the back of that tube is another 15. So all up, it's 27 mil from the face there to the back of the tube. That's why I feel I'll reduce the size of this part here so it fits into that tube, and then I'll see how much I've got to reduce the length of it by. Alright, it's the next day, so I just peel that off, that excess crap. You don't need that stuff hanging off the side there, it doesn't do nothing. So I'm going to deal with that soon. I'm still thinking what's best to do. So what that actually does, I read up about it, that it's like a little switch. So it'll stop. You've got two oil filters on this motor. You've got the one here that goes in here, which is a paper filter, which is the one that usually does most of the work, really. But this one down here that spins around, which I've pulled apart in an earlier video, that's called the main filter. So what actually happens, if this filter up here becomes clogged, that thing will open a little bit, and it will the oil pressure rises, and that'll open that a little bit, and it'll push the oil up into this filter. So it's not really that important that I can see. You know, it probably is, but you know, all they had in there was that, and that went in like that and had the little spring in there, so it would still probably do the same job. So I'm thinking either you clean that up, use that, or modify this. Either way, that's never going to fit in this engine. It's never going to fit. So what I'm going to do while I'm thinking about that is put this on. I've changed the seal. Seal's done. I've got a new gasket. I'm just going to run tap through here, clean these threads, find some new bolts, and put that. Clean these threads up. That needs a helicoil. I'm also going to have to put a few here. So I'll do those shortly, but I'm just doing this now, get this on, and then I can forget about that. Just tilted that around, because what I'm going to do is put this stuff here together, and then I'll put the sump on, and that'll keep all the crap out of in the crankcase. Then it's all sealed. Because just putting this on, realistically, should take 20 minutes. But I use the old bolts, and doing them up, torquing them up. Like I had to put a helicoil in here, and doing them up, this bolt snapped, and I got it out no problem, but I had to take it all back off because it's all sticky, and then the thread was a bit shot, so I had to put a helicoil in there. It just takes time doing all this stuff. Anyway, I'm not in a rush. I just want to make sure it's done right. Now I've got to I believe the oil pump goes here, some stuff goes here, and the dipstick goes there. I'll chuck all that crap on, and then that's sealed, and it's less stuffy out of the way anyway. According to this thing, number 20 is an O-ring that goes here. Look over here, 20, 78.4.2. There's nothing like that in their kit. The people that send all the stuff. So now I've got to go and stuff around and go and find a O-ring 78 by 4.2. It should be in the kit. That's a basic part. Like, where is it? It's not there. Anyway, I'm going to replace these bolts. I'm not going to put any more crappy bolts in this motor. I don't want them to snap. I've just got to shorten those bolts there. So I'll shorten them, put this part on. I've got that, and I've got that. It's not exactly the same size as that, but it'll work. But a bit disappointed that, you know, you buy that kit, it was 400 something euros, and it's a bit hit and miss. Turns out I do have this here, but it didn't come in the kit. We bought a new oil filter. It came with that. So anyway, we've got it. That's the main thing. I don't have to drive a Ballina to get it. According to this, is supposed to be a spring here. Number 18, some type of spring. I ain't got no spring. I got a feeling that's like a crush filter. It's different to the standard one. Because this thing, it doesn't quite bolt down. It looks like you've got to crush that down to make a seal. Like there's a O-ring there funny O-ring and there's a funny O-ring there, so you ain't getting no spring. There wasn't a spring in there, we don't have a spring. Right, that's on. I just use Loctite there. Never over tighten these little bolts, it'll snap on you. Just use a little thing like that. It's, what is it? It's 7 foot-pounds. I can't remember what it is in inch, but that's only 7 foot-pounds. That's all you do it. But just use a little thing like that, and you've done a million of those up. You can do it by hand. Now I've just got to put this last thing on. That crushed down good. That's all on. It's got the new filter. So wherever you like, that's got to get taken on and off a lot. So you just use spring washers there. These have all got Loctite. Putting this on, it's got a new O-ring. I'll be using Loctite on these bolts here. Just goes there. That's it. Well, there's that. This side's done. I'll flip this back around. I've got to work on this bloody check valve right at the moment, I'd say. I think there's obviously a oil pressure or something goes in there. Some little sender. I don't know where that is at the moment. Must be here somewhere, but unless it wasn't there. If I don't have it here, it wasn't there, so we're going to have to get one. I'll look into that and make sure what's right there. I'm going to just flip this motor. I suppose I'll just leave it like that until I get this sorted out. But I'm going to have to, a few of these threads here aren't real good. Those two, yeah, they're not real good. I might have to put helicoils in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one looks like it's been done. That's the problem with these motors. It doesn't take much to strip out the threads. You've got to be careful with them. Right, I'm just going to, I was using something else, but it's just rock hard. I don't know what this stuff here is, but it's freaking rock hard. So I'm using this. I better turn this pump on because it's just getting too hot. So what I'm going to do is reduce the size of it to about 9mm, this bit. And I'll end up cutting it to length. It's not going to be that long. Then I'm going to drop the size of that to 14mm. And then I'll drill a hole in the other end of it for the spring, which will be 9.5. That's the plan, so we'll see what happens. Let's check that. I've had to obviously use the coolant. It's just getting too hot. Sometimes you've got to use it. That's what it's for. That's a bit long. I'll shorten that in a sec. It only really needs to be about, I think it's 15mm long. So I'll shorten that in a second. And I'm just going to make that so it fits into that tube. Then I'm going to make this other part the same size as that, and I'm going to have that hole so it can catch the spring, and that's it. It'll work better than the one they had in it, and it'll work better than the one that I bought. So what are you going to do? Never made one of these things before, but pretty sure it'll work. This is the last pass for that. It's just got to fit in that tube. Doesn't have to be exact. The way I'm making it, it's just the way I'm making it. There's that and that. Take that off. Turn that pump off. I'll just clean that up a little bit. And I'll flip that around. That should fit into that piece now. Let's double check it. Yep, that'll fit in. Okay, I'll just clean that up a bit with some emery. And turn it around, drill a hole in it for the spring, and that's it. Cut it off. I'll cut it off first. Anyway, this is my plan. That thing's completely useless. It's not for this engine, so to get that, so either put that back in, which it actually does do something, or I'll put this one in that I've made. It's got a little recess there for the spring. I just put that in there like that. Oh, that sits in there like that. Put the spring in there. I might have to shorten the spring just to half a ring. It's already been shortened. And then you just squash the thing in and that's it. I think that's, you know, at least it's got something there that does something. Because for starters, that didn't fit. And I can't see how it would do anything anyway. But if it fit right in, sure, I'd put it in. But it doesn't. It doesn't go anywhere near fitting. That's a waste of space, that thing. I think I'm going to go with that, but I'm going to leave it for tonight. I may put up a video tonight and see what other people think about the whole situation before I just assemble the rest of this, because once I put that on, I'm not taking it back off. Anyway, I'll probably knock that up into a bit of a video, and we'll see what other people think about this whole situation. Like I said, it's either that or that, and to me that's way better than that. And yeah, it's a shame. I don't know what that's off, but it definitely isn't off this car. Anyway, thanks for watching.